Bethesda, a once beloved company, has now fallen from grace. Whilst old fans await with bated breath for the release of the new installments of their favourite franchises and new releases failing, what path is the company on, and where do we go from here? Hello and welcome to the Echoverse Unlimited Show. Today we are focusing on Bethesda and what has happened and what has changed in their company since over the past few years, I guess, and since recently their Microsoft acquisition of the company. Firstly, I am sorry, I'm a little bit ill, so my voice might strain a little bit. I might be sniffing and spluttering and all that stuff, but I wanted to get this episode out on time, so I'm filming with a bit of an ill voice. So you'll just have to bear with me. But I hope you're all having a great week, and I'm looking forward to exploring this. So we're going to be looking at sort of their legacy and what games were great and what really went well, and then how it what games started to fail, and where they could go from here. And especially looking forward at Starfield, which comes out this year. I'm very excited for it. So we're going to be talking about what that needs to be for them to renew themselves, I guess. So that's the plan. So, without further ado, let's start with We're talking about Bethesda's legacy. There's two main franchises that we're going to look for. So, the first one is the old Elder Scrolls games. So, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and before that, but like Daggerfall and stuff, but I don't really know them as well as those three. They are known classics in the modern era of gaming. And with Skyrim being my favorite all-time game, it's an important franchise to me. It is what built up Bethesda's reputation, in my opinion, and brought it to where it is now, the company that is. So, and how it's managed to sell for $7 billion, I guess. It had been a constant win for the company until they released a certain MMO and remastered Skyrim for the 15th time. That may reign true for you guys. So if you think about it, for me, the Elder Scrolls games were constantly, whilst a little bit buggy, they most of the time were really great games and allowed for exploration, great character development, interesting character customization, interesting quests, innovative stories, and I think that's really good. The side factions were always great in the games. My favorite being the Civil War in Skyrim. Um, some of the mods for that is just really cool. So yeah, Elder Scrolls is Bethesda in my opinion, but there is one more that arguably is their second biggest. Well, not arguably, it is their second biggest, and that is Fallout. I'm sure no one struggled with that one. The second biggest franchise with Bethesda is this post-apocalyptic world, and although there were some disagreements about New Vegas with Obsidian, most of the time they've always released solid games. Fallout 4 launched with some criticism about certain aspects, but I thought it was a really good game. Again, one of my favorites of all time. Base building was a sick mechanic. I really loved it. And I just thought it was a really interesting spin on the post-apocalyptic, the railroad, the synths, something interesting. Yes, I would have liked to see more diverse endings, but I thought that the factions were cool, the characters were great, the followers were masterpieces. I loved all of them, pretty much all of them. And yeah, I truly loved this game. What do you guys think about Fallout and Elder Scrolls? Let me know down below. I'm interested to hear about that. But for me, these two series are the epitome of what Bethesda is, and when you think of what you're excited for new releases, you think of these two, in my opinion. But that doesn't go without saying there are some other franchises that are important to Bethesda, and they are really good games, so they are worth mentioning. So Prey, Dishonored, Doom are the three that I have dabbled in. Prey being my favorite. I think that's a really unique game. If you like horror games and haven't tried Prey, then I really recommend giving it a go. I think you'd probably quite enjoy it. Doom's just a great time killer as you go around killing loads of demons, and Dishonored is something different in the stealth franchise, in the stealth genre even. So that's definitely, if you haven't played them because you only stick to those two Bethesda franchises, then I highly recommend giving it a look. So when we look at all of these, it builds a very strong legacy of games. There's quite a lot of good ones that many players would consider, how do you call it, tier making, like genre defining. There we go. That's the phrase I was looking for. genre-defining games that when you see new RPGs, for example, coming in, you will base them off to Skyrim, you'll base them off to Oblivion, and so on and so forth. And it's pretty unique. So I'm a big fan of these franchises, and I think the legacy of Bethesda is so strong that it was almost unbreakable for me. And then that brings me to the question: if Bethesda has this such a strong legacy, then how has it had such a dramatic fall from grace in such a short time? So this section is really about the positives of Bethesda, and until for the next 10 minutes at least, we're going to be talking about the negatives, in my opinion. So we're going to start with ESO. So I want to start this section by saying I genuinely like ESO. As a game, I played, I think it was 452 hours I've put into this game last time I checked, which is obviously a lot of time for any game, especially one that I'm going to slate as much as I am. I think it's got some interesting new areas. You get to explore Tamriel with your friends, which is great. You've got some really cool characters and storylines in there, but they're few and far between. I've always played it solo because none of my friends liked it, which is fair enough. Actually, that's a lie. I had a bit of time with a few friends like Nathan, but we didn't play it too much, and it would sort of be in like weird little blocks when we wanted to play it. We did the same with Fallout 76, actually. However, it was not the Skyrim Online that we were promised. And for me, it was a disappointment. And that's the key word. It's not a bad game, but for anyone who loves the franchise, it is a disappointment. It doesn't have any of the core mechanics that make Elder Scrolls games great, apart from bugs. That's it, in my opinion. And maybe it's because it's developed by a different company, with ZeniMax heading this one. But I don't know. I just feel like it's not Elder Scrolls to me. Like, when I think of the last Elder Scrolls game, I do think of Skyrim, and I don't really think of Elder Scrolls Online. So I'm going to look at why I don't like this game, and I have three main categories for why I think it failed or is failing. I know it's got a very strong, dedicated fan base, and I am interested to see where each new zone is coming in and stuff like that, and they do seem to be getting better and better with it, but I don't think it's enough to save it, in my opinion. So we're going to start with the fact that it is an MMO in and of itself. An online Elder Scrolls game originally sounded great. However, it struggled to make choices relevant and meaningful because obviously everyone would have to make a different choice. If there's two options, 50% of the player base is going to go that way, 50% are going to go that way, so they can't really change the world unless you look at it. I know they tried it, but it's just weird when everyone's seeing different things and stuff like that. When you're talking with your friends, it doesn't work, in my opinion. And as I said, there is exceptions to this rule, but for ESO, the rule is very contingent. It follows consistent, I guess. Contingent and consistent. The rule is the main thing here. And the exceptions, whilst being interesting, are not enough to break it. The normal questing and decision-making of previous games, therefore, is kind of removed and a little bit scrapped. Which is disappointing because that's what I think the core gameplay mechanic of the Elder Scrolls games are. So to not have them anymore is really quite sad. Especially as a massive Elder Scrolls fan, I was really upset that it wasn't like that. And I was so hyped for this game, unbelievably. Young me was up at 6 a.m. and was ready to give this game a pop. Went to log on and couldn't get in. And that is the next issue, was a disastrous launch and server issues. They are a constant issue, as with most online games, but here it's quite often. And I always used to crash, like, all the time. The launch on both PC and console reeked of cash grabbiness, in my opinion, and with them originally charging a subscription for the game as well as the base fee. So it's not a free-to-play game. It was a paid. You pay your $60, we'll go in American terms, and then you had to pay an added, I think it was $20 a month, I want to say. That might be a bit much. I'd have to do a bit of checking around. but it was quite a hefty price as well. I remember I never played on PC, so I can't really give you the full lowdown of that. Luckily, they changed this after a while and made it once you pay your $60, that's it. It's the rest of the game is free, which I think is obviously the right move. So that's for the PC launch. That was the issue, but the console launch, which was where I joined in personally, was also disastrous because, as I said, I logged on at 6 a.m. and I could not get in. I was really upset. I even wrote a strongly worded email, which it was quite childish, I'll be honest, but it was a sum up of my anger at this company for not releasing the game that I wanted to play straight away. And then there was even more issues and bugs where quests just wouldn't load key to progression to get to the next zones and stuff like that. And I was kind of stuck on this character without being able to do anything. So I left the game for almost 2 years before one of my friends convinced me to try again. And then everything worked smoothly. But this quest was just broken and it just wouldn't work ever. So it really ruined the experience for me. And like, even when I came back to it, even though I enjoyed it, I was still had that doubt in my mind of this is not made and polished very well. This launched badly. So it was still fresh in my mind. Every time I was in Stonefall. I haven't played in a while. But the starting area for the Ebonheart Pact, big up the Pact. That's where that's where my bad memories lie, and I hate being back there now. So yeah, it really did affect my experience. So that's another one. And then the final one when it comes to ESO is the Crown Store. Now, I'll hold my hands up. I've spent a lot of money on crowns, especially when I was really into the game, including I bought a house, which if you haven't played ESO, it is expensive. So I think it was £42 that I paid for the house. And it's not like a giant house, it's a mediocre one. It's a medium-sized one. I wanted an outside, and that's where the price went up. And, it was just, it's quite bad. And you can't really pay, well, you can pay for it in game, but it's expensive. And gold is not that easy to come by. So, I have some notes here. So, you can buy everything from a house, marriage, pets, horses, clothes, to in-game items such as repair kits and stuff if your items run down, and DLC for all in-game items. And the cost of the crowns vary depending on how much packs you want to get but for the highest priced items, you're probably going to need the biggest one. And the highest priced is £109.99, which I don't know about you, is exceptionally high for an add-on. I think the fact that some things can even cost that much, some of the biggest houses, I think cost around that if you want them, is absolutely ridiculous pricing, and it's absolutely stupid. And for some things, the grind, if you don't like the grind that much to catch up with your friends or something like that, you are going to be forced to buy crowns. If you want to buy any of the DLC, which is fair enough, get access to any of the zones, you have to buy crowns on top of that. If you want to mount, you either again have to save up an exorbitant amount of gold, or you have to buy a mount with crowns. And it's just a lot of buying add-ons is ESO. And bear in mind, this is still, it's not, well, I guess it is now with the release of the new chapter. They always release the game as an upgrade, but the upgrades are usually almost full price. So especially if you want like a collector's edition or something like that, that's then getting quite expensive. So for me, I just think you are always paying for a full priced game, and then you're not getting the full game without buying more add-ons. It's just a bit scummy in my opinion from ZeniMax, but I know, again, and I said it before, these games that I'm talking about have a core fan base who don't mind that much, and honestly, that's up to you. If you play the game and you love it, I loved it. I don't really play it now, but I did really used to, and I did want to play it on stream. So I don't hate the game, and I can understand what redeemable qualities it has. So yeah, but for me, this is why ESO failed Elder Scrolls. So now that we've had a look at what stunted the Elder Scrolls universe, we're going to turn to Fallout. Now, I'm sure if you can tell which game I didn't like in Elder Scrolls, then you can tell which game I was not a fan of in Fallout. And if you said Fallout 76, you hit the nail on the head. Now, I was so hyped for this game. I got the collector's edition. The T51 power helmet is at home. I'm at uni now, so I don't have access to that. But I do have the power helmet. I got the bag, which, if you know the controversy, not the best, but still, I was pretty happy to hear it. The main reason I got it was the helmet, so I wasn't too upset about that. And I was really, really looking forward to hopping in. An online Fallout sounded really cool, something different, a survival mechanic, which I was less keen on. But, I mean, it's something unique and a bit innovative, so I was like, fair play, Bethesda. The beta was fun, and I really enjoyed it from what I played. And I thought that was a good system of doing it, is if you bought the game, you got access to the beta. Fair enough. Obviously, you should be able to get a free trial or something as well. I think that's the case with most games, but I thought fair enough. Bethesda, everything was going away, and I think this game does have redeemable qualities. Like, just like ESO, I'm not saying I hate this game. I just hate certain aspects of this game, or hate's even stronger. I dislike certain aspects of this game, and I think it stunted Fallout and my faith in Bethesda even more than ESO did, because this was made by them. We had Todd Howard marketing out, it just works, and all that. So, this was a real Bethesda horse. This was them releasing a game, and I thought it just wasn't like the games I know and love. So, let's start with the actual player base itself. Again, if you love Fallout 76, I'm not talking about you. Don't downvote me. Don't attack me in the comments. I'm just being, an observer. But griefing, I was lucky not to experience this myself, but I saw a lot of stories online of where this was going on, especially at launch. In the game's opening few months, it was littered with griefers destroying camps, because obviously you can go in, you can barge down doors and break down everything, kill players. And I just thought, if you got to a high enough level, if you played it since beta, you could ruin everyone else's experience pretty easily. There was no real counter to this. You could be harassed, just people following you around the map, unless you change servers, and then you might find someone else, and you were just never free. If you wanted a private server, you could do that. It was mega expensive with their Fallout subscription, but you could if you wanted to. I personally never did, but again, I didn't have that issue, so maybe it would get to that point. Camera, focus. Oi. It's fine. It'll probably sort itself out. Hang on. Yeah. I mean, it's focusing on the hand, which is good. This is like behind the scenes technical issues on the Echoverse Unlimited Show. So yeah, griefing was a big one. We're just gonna leave it like that. You can sort of still see my face. It's not overly blurry. Okay. So next is microtransactions. Again, like ESO, this game is littered with microtransactions in a similar sort of way with the Atomic Shop instead of the Crown Store. It's still as greedy as prolific, in my opinion, for a full-priced game. With my personal least favorite game mechanic ever, weapon durability, leading to you being able to buy repair kits and stuff like that, which I think is scummy as all hell, and it's just a way. It's why I hate weapon durability, unless it's done really well. Like, I know Breath in the Wild has that, but does it quite in a nice way. From what I've heard, I've never played it, but I've heard that's a pretty decent way. And I personally just really don't enjoy it. If you want to keep your favorite piece of loot, you have to repair it. Otherwise, it's basically doesn't protect you as much or at all, and it hits for a lot less damage, which is just not fun in my opinion. And I hope they don't include it in further iterations, because I think it will be a real problem for me. Also, the stash storage was limited in my, which I think was stupid. So you don't lose your items in Fallout 76. If you die, you lose your loot, your junk. So if you wanted to store your junk and keep it safe, you only had a limited amount of weight capacity to do that, which I think there's never been in Bethesda games before. So why is it in now? It might be in ESO in the houses, actually. I can't remember. But in Fallout, I just don't think it works, and I think it was another cash grabby sort of thing. And in my opinion, this led to, if you didn't want to use the atomic shop, the grind was way too long for so little rewards. And I think that's two of the big reasons for killing the game. And the final one, whilst there is a wide array of cool enemies and stuff to fight in this nuclear apocalyptic world, then which is really cool, and I love it. The sloth is my favorite enemy. I just don't think there's enough world event innovation. I think they get boring, repetitive, and very samey quite quick. I stopped doing them completely, apart from one, because you get a lot of good resources doing it. Even nukes, which seemed really cool at the time, got really boring real quick, which I was disappointed with. Because there was just nothing different. You couldn't see different big monsters coming out of the nukes. It was the same dragons flying up and down, landing, killing, and big death claws and stuff, which is just, it's cool, but after about 3, you've done it all. And the final big boss fight of the game, the mother dragon that you can fight if you nuke a specific spot, and that's a world event, again, just gets very samey. And if you're not a high enough level, you just get killed, like just like that, which I think is kind of very uninclusive. I get that you need to be a high level to go in, but there's some of the coolest stuff. You don't want to hide it away behind a paywall or lock it away. So, and I think they did that. So it's kind of disappointing. And nothing really changes based on the story you go through. The story itself is really weak, in my opinion. I didn't really have any interest in playing it all, apart from one, and it was the Enclave storyline. I thought, to be fair to them, that was really cool, and I enjoyed that one quite a lot. The others, and even side missions and stuff, I just didn't enjoy it at all. I think that's changed now. There is NPCs you can have in camp. I started playing that, still wasn't hooked. I played with the Space Lady, don't know who that is, but and I thought that was cool, but yeah, just didn't do it for me. So, Todd, in my opinion, this just does not work like you said it would, and Fallout deserves better than this. It really does. So, I think the previous section highlighted that there were several things that went wrong for Bethesda, and such as a lack of innovation and, of course, polish, which is typical to Bethesda games, even before the release of Fallout 76 and ESO. But with the two games I've discussed, I have two main problems. So this is basically a summary of the previous section. Nearly just whacked my mic over. Microtransactions and money grabbing. Bethesda have become very EA-like on their approach to getting money, with microtransactions littering their games, even in single player. With their recent release of Skyrim Remastered, they had the Creation Club, which was basically paid mods. And in a single player game, you had to buy credits to buy the mods. You can just buy the mods straight out. If you wanted them, you had to buy sort of like crown packs, which I just think was a stupid system. And I really, really hope it's not in the next Elder Scrolls. I pray that it's not, because that would be so bad. This is really harming their reputation, in my opinion, and it's something they definitely should move away from, as I said. Good experiences sell, Bethesda. Like Skyrim, I happily bought Hearthfire, Dragonborn, and Dawnguard with no complaints. I thought the content that you provided for your money was really well worth it. With Hearthfire being lower priced than obviously Dragonborn and Dawnguard, I thought it was great, and I love Skyrim, so I was more than happy to do it. And if that's how you market it, then you will get your sales. You'll have people buying your DLC and being like, yeah, fair enough, I'm more than happy to do so. Sorry. My leg is trapped in wires. We're having a lot of issues today. I'm blaming it on being ill. There we go. Jesus. And secondly, online does not work for these new EPs, for these old IPs even. And I think it's a big issue with what Bethesda were trying to do. Online co-op could work. Co-op Skyrim could be really fun in one game, where people can run around, do different things. That'd be so cool, and I would be so up for that. MMO and proper online does not work for these IPs. It just doesn't make sense. Elder Scrolls and Fallout have always been single players. They have a lot of that. Most of their core mechanics are single player based. So to bring that online is a very difficult job, and you're not doing it well enough for it to be like, this is a multiplayer franchise as well. Like, I can see this being a thing, like Fallout 76 2. I hope never happens. And in my opinion, they should have just stayed away from it. And instead, if they wanted to go down the multiplayer route, or at least for their first venture into multiplayer, it shouldn't have been a known IP. They should have tried it with a new IP, so like Starfield, shall we say. That should have been the Fallout 76. They should have seen the reaction to it, because it'll still sell. People love Bethesda. You're a well-known company. So to release a new IP, everyone would be like, wow, that's really cool. Let's check it out. And then they would have been like, nah, shit, I don't like it. Or they would have been like, hey, that's amazing. Yeah. And then you can bring online, once you know how to make online games well, you can then bring that into your beloved IPs. But it was too rushed, and I just think it really fell flat. And I hope that next time you go back to single player games, because and loads of companies have been doing it, is moving away from single player because they think it's dying. It's not. I love single player games. I play a lot more single player than multiplayer, with the only real multiplayer that I play being Apex. So to have my beloved franchises that are single player being turned into multiplayer it really doesn't bode well for the future. So I think that's enough slating, and it's time to look at what comes next for Bethesda now that they've been acquired, which is something that I never thought I'd say. Let's have a look. Microsoft, you sneaky devil, you spent $7 billion on Bethesda and scooped it up. What does this mean for us, and will this hinder or help Bethesda? Let's have a look. So, let's start with Xbox exclusives. Obviously, the big question is how many of Bethesda's catalog games are going to be exclusive, and by the looks of it, it's going to be most of them. Starfield, which is obviously the next big release from Bethesda, has already been confirmed to be an Xbox exclusive, which I am very happy about. But if I was a PlayStation player, I'd be really upset. So I do feel pity for you guys. I think it makes sense because obviously they've spent $7 billion. They need to recoup that money somehow and make it look like Xbox is the best on the market, much like PS4 did with Insomniac and stuff like that. So I imagine that will be a common trend. However, with the obviously recent COD acquisition, and they've said COD will keep coming to other profiles, so it may be true that Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and some other games may still be coming to PlayStation, so there is hope. But for now, it looks like they're going to be making the most of their money, and Starfield is an Xbox exclusive. Another good thing is funding is no longer an issue. They have Microsoft just throwing money at them as much as they can for all their releases, so they can take the time to make them as good as possible, maybe expand their teams, just genuinely do better. There is no excuse, Bethesda, now for you to make your game's sole purpose is to get money, because for the love of God, you have money. And oh my God, if there are repair kits in Starfield, I will be doing a very angry conversation about that on the channel. Publicly, on social media, it will be a shitstorm because I have had enough of repair kits for all of life. Just no more repair kits, companies. Let's just move away and work out a better way to do it. Please, I'm begging you. And finally, Game Pass. Now, personally for me, one great thing for Xbox players is that Bethesda's catalog, I think almost all games from Bethesda, I had a quick look before filming this, are on Game Pass. Any others are like maybe PlayStation exclusives or deals with PlayStation, something like that, that are restricting it a little bit. But that's pretty good. For the price of £7.99, you are getting the entirety of Bethesda's catalog. That's a good thing. And you get also more free trials, so it kind of makes like ESO and Fallout 76 better games because you're not going to feel as ripped off if you get it with Game Pass, because you're like, damn, well, I only paid £7.99 to get access to this game. Like, that's pretty good. I don't mind spending a bit more money to get some cool stuff in the Crown Store. So I think that's a really good thing. Although I really hope they do move away from those sorts of stores in the future. So I think ultimately the deal will be good or bad for you based on which console you play on. If you're on PlayStation, it's probably going to end up being bad for you. If you play on Xbox, it's probably going to end up being good for you, and that's just unfortunately how it is. Much like the Bungie deal with PlayStation will be good for PlayStation players, bad for Xbox. To how much of an extent will it be bad? We don't know yet. How much of an extent it will be good? We also don't know yet. So it's all time will tell as the bidding wars continue. Pardon me. So it's only up to you whether you like or dislike this deal. Put it down in the comments. I'm interested to see what everyone thinks about it, and I'll try and reply with my own thoughts and processes as time goes on. But yes, let's start a conversation. But I do think that this deal offers a fresh start for the company and a ability to move back into what the company used to be. We can see a legacy start to be rebuilt, and I am truly excited for that. So now we're on to the future. Let's continue that trend with what Starfield needs to be. So, talking about the future brings me to my final category, and that is Starfield and what it needs to be for Bethesda to start to recoup the lost fans and people who have left the company or have left bad reviews or think the company is not what it used to be. And this is their chance. A brand new IP, hopefully, releasing this year. And I'm really excited for it. I think it's a really cool idea, premise, space Fallout, Space Elder Scrolls. I think it's going to be great. I hope. And a game this scale hasn't been released by Bethesda since Skyrim, in my opinion. So this is something completely new, and I'm really getting quite, although hesitantly, because I don't want to be disappointed, I am getting quite excited for it. And I hope it looks more like the Bethesda that I know and love. So, what does it need to be? Firstly, a good single player experience. This is a must. This is very important to me. The game must be a strong single player experience with an interesting story, unique characters, and compelling side quests. This is a must. This is the chance to restart the legacy of great single player games that you have built your company on. And I truly look forward to seeing if they succeed. And I actually really hope you do, Bethesda, because you were my favorite company. Now I don't have a favorite company because most companies are trash. So next is no greedy microtransactions. As we've covered throughout this video, this is a real problem throughout the game industry at the moment. So I'm hoping Bethesda will be the jockey to knock it off. It's a single player game. It does not need microtransactions other than DLC for great new content. If you do make another Creation Club, I will mark you down for it at least a point, because there is no excuse. You have Microsoft throwing money at it. It's a single player game. It's going to do well. It's a new IP. Let's just start strong. Even if you don't include it immediately, let people get the full experience and then release DLC. I'll be more forgiving for that, but only time will tell what they're going to do with that, and I'm sure we'll hear about that as it gets closer. And innovation. This game cannot be a carbon copy of Fallout or Elder Scrolls. I get it's in space, so that would be very hard. I'm leaning more towards Fallout. It can't feel the same. The guns should feel differently. Whatever weapons it is, I guess. Be innovative. You haven't picked a better genre to be innovative with. So I think it would be really stupid if you didn't. You have a new IP, an upgraded engine, which by the way looks pucker. So I really am hopeful that you're going to innovate and bring something really new, push the boundaries, make something really exciting for your fan base. And I personally can't wait to seeing more trailers and learning more. You're in space. You can have some really cool mechanics coming in. Stuff that hasn't been done before, like outside space exploration, zero gravity fun. If you don't have that sort of space battle, you better be able to have a ship and fucking fight other ships in space. That'd be sick. Star Wars, motherfucker. Along with all your classic sort of Bethesda character creation, stuff like that, quests, all of that. I really hope that you take this chance to bring something really new and definitive to your catalog. This is really exciting, so please do not mess it up. Okay, Bethesda, this is it. Your chance to save yourselves from falling off the rails. With getting my faith back, and I'm sure a lot of faith from the rest of your fans. And most importantly, return yourselves to be among the greats, which there are very few now who are left standing. We are truly in the age of once great companies falling to the ways of the dark side. But I hope we are coming to an end of it. It's time for Bethesda to redeem themselves as they enter a new era for their company and start to make up for the sins of their past. I can only wait with anticipation for what comes next. But don't worry, I will be right here holding them accountable for their actions and releases, because someone has to, and that is what we gamers should be doing. So thank you very much for watching this. Again, I'm sorry if it's not to the usual quality. The illness in me just wanted to get this out. And it's quite a broad topic, so allowed for me to talk about lots of different things. And maybe down the line, I'll do more specific sort of game analyses and stuff like that of ESO and the Elder Scrolls and Fallout series, and go into more detail about some of that. But if you have any questions, queries, concerns, ideas, any thoughts at all, put them down below in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. And I can't wait to experience all this new chaos in the game industry with you all. But yeah, that's it from me for this week. I hope you enjoyed this Echoverse Unlimited show. I truly appreciate everyone who comes by every week to check these out, and I really enjoy making them. So hopefully next week's will be better when I'm feeling tippity top, back on top. It's kind of annoying that the one in my new uni room, I've been here for a few months now, but is where I'm ill. But hopefully this will go soon, and I can get the movie review of the Fallout. It's all written. It just needs to be filmed. I'm not going to film it like this because I want the first movie review to be where I can truly enunciate myself properly and talk as I would normally. So yeah, that will be coming in the next few weeks, hopefully. So get hyped for that. But other than that, stay noisy. I will see you next week. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Goodbye.